So my name is Jennifer, and today what we're going to do is that we're going to go over a few techniques that we can use for the Real brush pens, which would be pretty cool actually. They're very versatile, and I want to show you that. Today we're going to use a watercolor pad, however, you can use them on any type of paper. So first off, I want to show you how they layer. So they do layer very nicely. I do appreciate, something I appreciate a lot about these pencils, all these markers, is that you have a lot of control over the location of the pigment. Like see, if I build like a little wave of pigment like that, right there, I can just push it back and forth if I want to. I can move it here, I can like spread it however I want to. Like, it's almost like you have actual paint on the paper. So creating gradients like these is super, super easy. So that was one coat. Now we're gonna do the same thing again, right? See, like that gradient is like super easy to build if you wanted to. But yeah, okay, like once they dry, we'll go back and we'll discuss like the gradients that you can, or rather like the fact that you can layer them a lot. Like see, like this one's dry already, so I can go on with a second layer. Alright, so this one's definitely a little bit darker than this one. It's really easy to shade when you're using these. That's just kind of the point that I wanted to make. Something else that you can do with these, which is very, very nice, is that you can literally just create a little, let's create a little square of pigment. There we go. And what you can do with that is that you could just get a standard brush with water. This is obviously the Arteza brushes that have water already built into them, but you can get this with virtually any brush, and you could just do one of these, and you can pull as much color from there as you want. Like if you're into like mixing or like shading or anything like that, like it's pretty great. If you work on it enough, that little line they have right there is not gonna show anymore. But you can basically remove and place as much color as you want. And then actually the fact that you have a loaded brush here means that you could just also use it as a way of depositing color and just picking it up. Like you can just make a whole palette with them on a piece of paper, and then if you actually just want to make a watercolor painting, you can use them as watercolors as well. And they do wash very, very nicely, if you can tell. I'm gonna create a little wash of water on the paper. And I want to show you that you can use them like that. You can just go in like this, and they will paint. Like you can use them literally as though as if you were just using a brush with a lot of watercolor paint loaded on it. And they do create gradients. Now that this one is wet, it's, as you can see, like the actual tip is a little bit clearer than it was originally. They're gonna be a little bit lighter. You can literally dip them in water and just go ham on them. And then it's gradually gonna, build its color back, and then we're gonna get a little gradient, as you can see. As it loses water and it gains more pigment. And I thought that was very, very, very nice because you can get really, really dark and also really, really light with the same color, and you can't do that with Copics. So I thought that was very pleasant about them. Another thing that you can do, but to a very limited extent, even like you could still do it, it's just, it's gonna be, a little bit limited, is, let's use another warm color for the sake of, making this aesthetically pleasing. You can just mix them like this. The problem with this is that they are made of, they're made of actual, like if you look closely, they're made of like hairs. They're not made of like one singular rubber piece. So that's what makes them actually real brush pens. Like they are brushes, like very, very literally. So like if you just mix in one color with the other like this, it's gonna get darker, and then it's gonna get lighter again. It's gonna create a nice little gradient for you as you lose the color that you mixed in with this one. And then you just gain your color, your pigment on this again. Actually, let me like lose it all. And you can combine a lot of these techniques, for example, like a shrub, for example. And this has pigment on it that I picked up from here. And just, you know, add that. And I can just go back in and, you know, mix it relatively well. Well, actually very well. Like relatively well would be like the kind of mixing that you get when you go with like this. And the fact that from one color to another it mixes, I think, very, very nicely. As long as you kind of pull a back and forth idea, and it's always going to mix nicely. See, like that's a very nice gradient. It's not like a sharp change of colors, which is, you know, it's not pleasant when you're working with anything that requires shading at all. So you just like, you just mix them when they're wet as much as you can when they're dry. Well, actually much better than you can when they're dry. Actually, for the sake of variety, actually let me get like a fuchsia. Fuchsia? I don't know how to say that in English entirely. And then like a magenta color. And then we're gonna mix it with a blue, which is much different. And I kind of want to bring this here. As you can see, like you can actually see your actual pigment. Like you can literally see the pigment as it is deposited. So you have a lot of control over how it is to be, you know, left on the paper. And yeah, and as long as you go back and forth a little bit, the shading is very, the gradients and the shading on these are very, very nice. At least I think so. See, like that's a clear transition. And also the one thing that this is going to have is that it might, when you do blend, the colors might blend a little bit, but that's not always bad. Like you can literally just use the fact that you have a little bit blue deposited on this pink pen in order to just continue shading. Let's see what else. I can just actually just go back here with, say, like a yellow, for example. Highlight a couple of places as it's drying. And actually, the wetter they are, the more they will blend, clearly. Obviously, but I think that they blend so nicely. You can literally just treat them as watercolor brushes. And you can soften their colors if you think it's too harsh. You can harshen their colors by just simply not putting any water in them. You can, I think that's why they're actually, like, they're tinted as much as they are, is because they're just very, very nice to just water down a little and just play with. See, as you can see. I think they're very pleasant to work with and overall. I feel like if you were to do a wash of a lighter color and then just wait for it to dry and then go harder with like say like a dark blue like this, like for example, like right here, I could just, you know, do this. I just think they're so pleasant to work with because the one thing though is that once they're dry, they will not mix very well, which is good because if you're gonna be working in layers, you don't want them to mix. Like right here, I would not want this to mix with the undercolor. And that's pretty much all that I can say about these Real brush pens. I think they're fantastic. I think they're super, super handy, super versatile. And right now we have a sale on our website for these, so if you go check them out, I think it would be a fantastic investment. Anyways, I hope you liked our video, and I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you found it useful.